Well, Tony, unfortunately not being here, has had, with Heidi and myself, have worked with the PTO and also room parents, and trying to come up with ideas about how to get more people inspired about PTO, to get more information out to the parent body about what's going on and how they could get involved, and to use the room parents as more, to create up what we're calling liaisons between the room parents and the PTO, so that we're really sure that information is getting out and going back and forth, and that we get people at the meetings and just re-energize the whole plan. So Tony's actually done a lot of work on it, and it's unfortunate she's not here to present it because she can do it much better than I'm doing it right now. But there has been an effort made in that direction, and we'll be continuing that. And part of that is broadening communication, streamlining communication, well, somewhat streamlining it, visually organizing things so that there's a media board right out front in the school, or public notice board, and that's consistently about PTO, because now it's just kind of, a lot of it's catch as catch can, and parents aren't really getting all the info that we'd like them to get. So that's one thing that people are working on.
And then, go ahead and ask your question. I was just going to expand on what you said.
I was just going to say, with all of the talk about the committees and educating new parents, I feel like the staff could use a re-education of what are all the committees that are going on that PTO are doing. One of the things that happens in a school from K through 8 is that there are so many different projects going on, but we oftentimes at the lower grades don't even know what the upper grades are doing, let alone what PTO is doing. So something else we could look at for next year is looking at even the staff meetings, and perhaps having a time where the committees just say, by the way, we do this. But I think that the teachers might be tapping into the committees a lot more if there was just a little more awareness. And that's not to say that the committees aren't trying to do that, but sometimes I think we have to hear it 5 times before it penetrates. So.
I had heard that I think Jason had mentioned that one of the initiatives next year is actually to have a teacher join every committee. So hopefully there'll be a link, a strong link, that you'll get information back that way. But I think it's also a great idea.
And
Did you hear about that, though?
And that's coming from Elsa.
Have I heard Did you know anything
Yes,
about that?
it was brought up in the school council, and we are drafting our school improvement plan. We have gotten feedback from staff. I mean, it's a great initiative. It's a great idea. We'll certainly promote it. We can't expect it. We can't contractually. We can't expect teachers to do that. So we love the idea, and I'm sure the new principal will love it. But we can't expect it. We can just encourage and hope.
Could there be, or is there just like a simple magazine that would have all the committees on it, so someone could just...
That was one of the...
So what we've talked about the space right when you come in on the wall there, that we move up our lovely award that has the architectural award on it. We move it up, and we put a permanent space there for PTO. And each of the committees have a spot. And one of the things Randolph says that he brought up a long time ago was pictures. To actually have pictures of the PTO co-chairs, the PTO committees, and so people wandering the halls would recognize.
Can I say why? Because it took, but I think one of my kids was in 4th grade before 2 people who I just assumed were teachers because they were here and they obviously owned the place. But I think they were parents and they were in charge of things. And if I had known, I might have felt, I had permission to talk to them. And I brought this up 4 or 5 years ago and got as far as having people get their pictures taken, and then all the dignity issues came up, like that. This is not what I look like. And I put a picture of myself when I carried the pumpkin around in my head on the board, and I just decided that was goofy, and I took it down. But I still like the idea, because I still think if you consider the position of new parents, young parents, parents of younger, lower grade children, they really not only do they need to know who the people are who as we've all heard, need their help and participation, but I think they need permission and a real invitation you please come talk to me. And I know it sounds a little, well, I don't know what it sounds like, but I think it's important.
And then the next idea would be to have the movable board be a current board. So it's a combination of Lincoln Lions posted right there, combination of what's going on, that's PTO related through the month or through the week. And the one thing that Tony and I talked about, Maria talked about, I would, I think Tony agreed that we'd have a whole year calendar, that we'd have from September to June, what PTO is doing. Those events that repeat, there may not be the exact date, but it would be, within the realm that it happens at the third week of October, Pumpkin Fest in Silent October. And so that families can kind of project how they want to get involved. Because I think a month or a week is sometimes not enough time for working parents to get involved. So it's kind of, that's the visual fold. The electronic side is, we've talked about the website being redesigned. Tony has some vision of redesigning it. Dave Choi has been very willing to do the mechanical side, and I think with Ron as another addition, we can bring ourselves up to 2009, 2010. The idea of the forums, Dave set it up to be able to do a lot. It's just not used. Dates aren't used. And so that's the other piece. And then the third piece is the idea of creating a information kind of, and I'm hoping I have it in here. I'm looking at you, Lisa, because it's the network. In 2000, Patty, help me here.
What are we talking about?
The guidelines for developing grade level network meetings. Basically, this was developed in 2000 by a bunch of parents. And it talks about how you put on a meeting and just the basic steps, how you go into Eileen, how you go into Mrs. Hope, and what you have to do. And that maybe we would have an informational meeting so that most definitely the committee chairs and people who are doing work-related projects, like whether you're doing the MCAS breakfast or something, that we have this kind of an overall information so that you don't have to learn it at the end of the year and go, oh, is that how you do that, or something. So those are kind of the threefold that we've been talking about with the communication. And so the new addition would be this roving board. And the idea would be that most of that stuff would probably become somewhat, fixed on the wall there after it makes itself around. And that committees would have a 1 page or a half a page of what they are. So they could be, passed out, always there. Parents, teachers walking by could pick it up and say, oh yeah, I want to review that. And the other extreme would be somehow reaching the teachers in a better way. So
I really like Karen's idea about somehow having something PTO related at our faculty meetings, especially in the fall. Because, we have a few teachers here right now, but as Deb said, contractually, we can't require everyone to be here at 7 o'clock at night. And I know that I don't even know every single parent here. I know a lot of you, but Courtney sitting here is a new teacher. She probably doesn't know a lot of you if she hasn't had your kids. And, if we had a way both to get to know each other and to talk about our needs on committees and things that we could help with, I think a lot of staff would be happy to do it if.
That was part of the liaison idea was to help interface PTO, the parents, and the teachers together, so that you make sure everybody's getting the information and knows what meetings are happening and what they might want to get involved in, and getting the room parents, giving them an in to ask the teachers what they're needing, or getting information back to the PTO and just getting that communication line opened. That was something that we really felt. We want to get more. We'd love to have more teachers involved.
And we talk about visibility things with the staff even too. We've talked about it, about new teachers and around the mentoring program, that some of the new teachers don't even know who the 8th grade teachers are, or who their faces are, because we're such a big building. We've talked about if they would be willing, taking a picture of each staff member, posting it somewhere, just to kind of increase our awareness of each other.
we walked into Lawrence School and they have it posted. I went for an event there and I went, oh my God, look at all those faces. And it was all the teachers lined up.
Plus don't they have a screen too that shows artwork and program projects and things like that?
It does make people more accessible when you can put a name to a face.
Yeah.